It is Wednesday. It's time for DRT. Billy here as always because I have no life, so I'm always here. AJ is currently out for the evening, but we have a good replacement. If you've ever watched any of the World Championship World of Outlaw races from iRacing, Mr. Justin, how are you doing, sir?
Thank you very much for having me. Doing really good tonight and looking forward to what's expected to be a very competitive race, Billy. It's been a competitive season for these drivers, and it's been a competitive championship fight.
Yeah, this is going to be coming down to the wire with the way that the drop weeks work. This is the final race of the first half of the season. So we do one drop week from the first half and one from the second. And we'll take a look at the points real quick as we're getting ready to go practice here soon. So we'll make it quick. But points races wise, John Bautista is still on top of the board. First winner of the DRT. Kevin Click, Michael Sheridan, and it looks like practice is on the racetrack. So we'll talk about that here as we go into real quick warm-up session. But John Bautista is still your point leader. A lot of Pro Series drivers in there down the top 10. So DRT has proven to be the place to be if you're going to want to run a sprint car on the simulation. So glad to see it. Williams Grove, one of my favorite racetracks. So glad to be here.
Glad to be here too. In regards to that championship fight, it's been a competitive, absolutely. James Eden's top 5, plus 6 positions gained after the last race. Brandon Eiler up plus 9 to P8. Plus, you have many air drivers like Rusty Kruger, Michael Sheridan, and several others in the conversation to fight with John Bautista at the moment. It's going to be an interesting night because here's the main thing to think about too. The past 3 races in this series have been seen where the pole sitter has won the main feature race of the night. David Heilman, James Eden's Cole Cabery, the past 3 races. This could be a race in a night where qualifying could be crucial and track preparation going to be essential, Billy, to make sure as a competitor you're all set to go and have the track worked into your comfort, as well as find your way to victory lane and try and get yourself X amount of points.
Yeah, this is, and this place is an equalizer. We've seen enough World Championship races. As Hayden Cardwell is currently quickest in practice, with John Bautista, your point leader, not far behind. But these races in the World Championship have always really kind of been a pivotal point. So basically, it's just going to be it's going to be an interesting qualifying session here too. And remember, we qualify, we invert the top 6. So your fastest qualifier will start 6th in each heat race. And again, if you guys are just watching us for the first time, we do run a dash. So the dash, the way that works, the heat winners will go onto the dash along with the 5 fastest in qualifying. So track's still in pretty good shape. Zyler's out on the racetrack right now.
Take a look at him right now and keep in mind this track's still very, very fresh. Could take a little while to get worked in, so expect some drivers to slide a bit around the bottom of the racetrack in the corners from now to start and try and carry momentum here. Already on his second lap, the fastest lap so far is 16.659 down the back straight of one of the biggest dirt tracks in all the iRacing service too. Half a mile in distance, but very, very long straightaways. Similar to what you'd see, say, in Martinsville for the pavement side. So Brandon Eiler with a good qualifying time, but bumped already by Lewis Hewitt, James Eden, Colton Davis, Ricky Sanders joining him in the top 5 for the time being. Just about everybody hitting the track. 2 minutes to sole qualifying laps for these competitors. Drivers yet to take times yet. Alex Bergeron, keep an eye on him. He's in the 20 car tonight, 16.3 in practice. Looking to be one of just a few drivers yet to put up a time on the board so far this evening. So these drivers and competitors will be looking to try and get some great sessions down for these competitors. For Bergeron, already top 10 just about in qualifying, right behind Daniel Ziegers, right in front of Adam Elby. Coming across for the second lap, bad rotation out of 3 and 4. Comes across the stripe with a 16.595 though, up to P5. Billy, as a driver, in your experience, what will this track be like for these competitors tonight?
Well, it seems like it's already getting a little bit slick or on entry into the corners, which is pretty typical. So, but I think the first few heat races are just going to be kind of pound the cushion down and get that up against the fence so that way the bottom will start coming in by the probably third or fourth heat race. We'll see guys starting to really creep the bottom, maybe making it work. But there's also going to be a couple guys I'm sure that are going to be able to make it work in the first couple of laps here as we go into heat race number 1.
All the drivers set to go. 10 drivers in heat race 1. 8 laps the distance. Top 6 inverted. The pole sitter for tonight's first heat. Yes, you're reading that right. Assistant official, that is Shea Powell, who will be racing the field tonight alongside Michael Sheridan. Daniel Ziegler starts in P3 with Cole Cabry rounding out the top 4. Alex Bergeron, David Heivelman, your top 6 in the inversion spots. Tyson Landis starts in 7th with Michael Heivelman in P8. Justin Stoltz and Alex Good round out your top 10 in this one. Nighttime conditions for this one, very cool skies, 73 degrees air temp, 67 the track temp, very windy as well at about 8 to 9 miles an hour to the south, 68% humidity for this race tonight. So, getting all set to go for the first one for this night. It's expected to be competitive as talked about. The drivers will have 8 laps per heat race this evening, 4 total heats on the schedule. That includes as well D, C, and B mains. The Kotzies will have 10 laps per distance. Top 4 move on to the C main. Top 4 from the C main move to the B main. Then the B main will in turn see someone move on top of course, that trophy dash as referred to. So, these drivers getting all set to go here. Your thoughts, Billy, on how these competitors will race tonight?
Heat race number 1 is pretty interesting. The third row especially. 2 guys that have really gone at it in the World Championship over the last 2 or 3 seasons, Bergeron and Heilman. I think it's just a race. You've got to be aggressive, but you have to be patient as well. Knowing you're starting in that third row is a pretty good safety blanket to where you really only have to pass a couple cars to put yourself into the dash and put yourself up towards the front rows of the feature. So, but then again, if you're Shea Powell or Michael Sheridan off the front row, you have to win this. If you don't win this, you're not in the dash. So, a lot of pressure from that third row and a lot of pressure from that front row. So, probably going to see some aggression. Hopefully not like we've seen in the past, but I think we're going to see some aggression, definitely some moves trying to make the bottom work. I would expect Bergeron to do his best to run the bottom here to try to at least get into the top 4 right off the rip.
I would too, especially with a lot of the grooves already brought onto the bottom side of the track. Cushion yet to be worked in quite yet. Taking a look at the catchfenceapparel.co speed cam down the back straightaway tonight. By the way, use the code DRT for $10 and 10% off at checkout. DRT Racing Action. The sprint car is just about all set to go for heat race number 1 of the night. Here we go. It is Powell in control of the field. Michael Sheridan on the outside. Green flag is out. We're underway from Williams Grove. Good start for your race leader already. Bergeron and several others charge to the bottom. Several others right in the middle line. 3 wide for the top 5. Michael Sheridan drops back to P3. Cole Cabry already to the bottom. Up for the race lead. Takes it away. He's already your top driver in the transfer spots. Second for now is Powell. Third is Michael Sheridan. Bergeron fighting for the bubble with David Heivelman at the moment. Heivelman now in that spot. Into 3 and 4. Bergeron tries to ride next to the tires in the Armco barrier. Can't get to the bottom side quite yet. 6 laps to go in heat race 1. Daniel Ziegers now moves to the middle line. David Heilman preferring the middle line as well. Bergeron losing time on the bottom side. Struggling for momentum at the moment. He now moves up to the very top. Tries to work in the cushion now. One of the first drivers to do so in this race and in any of the heat racing action so far. Massive slowdown, massive trouble. That is Cole Cabry who is up against the fence. Cole Cabry to dead last. Something wrong with the 71 machine. Massive, massive problem for Cole Cabry in the sprint race last fall in this World Championship Series, in this car rather. He ran out of fuel in the last lap in his heat race. Fuel has been a problem for the Cabrys in the past. He is now out of heat race 1. Past halfway, 3 laps to go. It is now Powell in the lead, Sheridan, Heilman, and Ziegers in the transfer spots.
What a race so far. Cabry, I would say, since he ran out on the 4th lap, probably ran that thing out of fuel and didn't put any in after qualifying.
It's nearly the exact same thing that happened on the last lap of his heat race back when the iRacing World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars came to this track. And what was a crucial race for points? Contact for the transfer spot. Bergeron slides up in front of Ziegers. Ziegers around down the backstretch. Caution flag is out. with 2 laps to go. Now, this is important to mention. One of the main additions to the rule book entering tonight, 3 green-white checkers will be instituted to prevent a 1-lap dash in this type of scenario, meaning there are 2 laps to go, 3 green-white checkered attempts to sort things out here. Again, it's Daniel Zegers in the 30 spun around on the slide.
Yeah, see if I can go back and find it here. And it looked like Bergeron and him got into it off the corner. We'll take a peek, though, and see. We'll actually go on board with Zegers here. Yeah, Bergeron just came up the racetrack, got into him, got all squirreled up. Dan had nowhere to go. Tough break for Mr. Zegers.
Zegers, as mentioned there, yes, hit hard into the Armco, and now he is in 9th. Cole Caber, the only driver now out of this respective heat so far. Again, the transfer spots are controlled by Powell, repping the assistant official role tonight. Michael Sheridan, David Heilman, Alex Bergeron. Michael Heilman, keep an eye on him, is in 5th in the 911 machine, just outside the transfer spots with Justin Stoltz, who nearly got into the back end of Bergeron and all the craziness there too, expecting 1 to go this time. And with this being a green-white checkered situation, and this could happen a couple times with this type of racetrack, how do you try and plot this out as a driver to know you've basically got 1 shot to try and make a move and do it cleanly?
Yeah, on a track like this, you really have to spend a whole entire lap to build up momentum unless somebody makes a mistake. But you've got to be ready for that mistake to happen, or have to be ready to pounce if that mistake does happen. But by the same time, you also still have to protect if you're in the top 4 spots, especially, you know, really with the fastest qualifiers being in 3rd and 4th right now. Not a big concern, but if Heilman can sneak up in there, Michael, that is, you know, that'll definitely put a hurt on the top 4.
Here we go, green flag, and Michael Sheridan hit in the back end by David Heilman. Alex Bergeron looking to take advantage into turn 1. Can't get to the inside quite yet. Everyone now moving up to the highest they've been off the starts yet. Heilman and Bergeron still fight for P3, back single file. White flag this time. Bergeron with the slide, clips a bit of the berm on the grass on the bottom of the racetrack. Nearly slides into Heilman with a white flag this time. Still, Powell in control of the field, looking to lock himself into the trophy dash. Sheridan still in 2nd. Heilman and Bergeron still sync, with Michael Heilman waiting if anything was to happen. Final corner this time. Checkered flag, Shea Powell wins heat race number 1. Sheridan, Bergeron, and Heilman also move on. Those drivers will be in the feature.
Yeah, definitely a good way to start off the night. Heck of a heat race battle there. I was kind of worried for a minute Bergeron wasn't going to get it going. He went back into the 6th spot and fought his way back up into 4th.
Drivers knocked out in that respective heat. Not able to make it in is Michael Heilman and Justin Stoltz. And Zegers good. Then just N. Cabery. Heat race 2 all set to go. Those drivers now roll to the grid. They'll be led by one Richie McLeod, who will be driving the number 14 car tonight alongside Logan Rumsey. Keep an eye on him. He's been quick with the past couple weeks across the service. Adam Elby starts in P3 with Cameron Merriman looking to have a merry night in 4th. Colton Davis and Lewis Hewitt, 2 of your top qualifiers in time at one point on the pylon, 5th and 6th, with Peyton Grease in 7th. Jeffrey Seward will start in 8th. William Hobart and Cole Newhoffen back in his car tonight, rounding out your top 10. Now, interesting grid here for Heat Race 2. Now, after what you've seen in Heat Race 1, what do you do as a driver to try to adjust for that? Whether it's how you adjust your car, whether it's adjusting your fuel, whether it's adjusting your driving style for the laps.
Well, I think the biggest thing is making sure. I think we saw Heilman run out of fuel right at the checkered, so you really have to make sure that you have enough fuel in it for the 9 laps, just in case it gets to that point. But the biggest thing right now is you've got to get to the cushion, keep your momentum up, and if somebody's going to take it, they're going to have to really earn it on the bottom side of the racetrack now, because the top side's just extremely fast.
Yeah, it's been really worked in, especially off that restart. Many drivers made it a little bit more worked in. This track's starting to really grip up and rubber up a little bit. Want to go signal this time. The drivers to keep an eye on when it comes to points ramifications, by the way, once again, in this respective race. Lewis Hewitt He's one of your top qualifiers as talked about. Keep it also an eye on drivers in this, such as Davis, like as well, Rumsey and LB. Merriman also expect to be quick. Richie McLeod will look to try and hold on. His fastest time in practice was a 16.4. For reference sake, for your top 5 drivers in the qualifying sheets, David Heilman, Lewis Hewitt, James Edens, Hayden Cardwell, and Alex Bergeron were those drivers on the pylon at the end of the qualifying session. Here we go for heat race number 2 from Williams Grove. McLeod for Team CD, working in the bottom. He's off and away. Logan Rumsey with a bit of a squeeze. Side by side, still as Rumsey slides up. Major slide up, though, for McLeod. Crossover back for Rumsey. Rumsey back to the point. Near contact as LB moves to the bottom. Lewis Hewitt now moves into P3 and 4. Merriman now moves up in the slide as well. Battling hard, side by side by side. Couple rows deep across the stripe. Good launch to heat race number 2 as Rumsey looks to pull away. LB still falls behind. McLeod and Merriman still scrapping a bit. Lewis Hewitt, though, nearly smacks the wall, nearly runs over the back end of the car in front of him. Colton Davis over-rotates a bit and loses time. 6 to go in heat race number 2. Merriman, the only driver so far trying the bottom side in this respective heat. Most of the field up to the top. Merriman is squeezed off again for the top line. He thought about squeezing Lewis Hewitt. He now tries to hold him off. Cuts off Hewitt to take away the cushion. He moves back up as Rumsey slides it up to the cushion. Battle for the race lead is on as Adam Elby coming up to halfway this time. Fights hard on the bottom side. Rumsey still trying to rotate it next to the Armco barrier. Up the track goes Elby to take away the race lead halfway. What a move by Adam Elby to take away this lead. The battle for the transfer spot not close to done yet here, Billy.
No, not at all. And Lewis really has to get himself into the 4th spot. He's going to be sitting on the front row of the B main. Otherwise, he's sitting there 1 car to pass to lock himself into the dash for the night.
3 laps to go. Merriman is in P3. McLeod now on the bubble spot. Moving to the bottom side. McLeod looking to get that bubble cushion on him. Lewis Hewitt watching as the caution is out. It is Cole Newhoffen. Couple other drivers also now off track. Peyton Grease, William Hobart are both also now off circuit. It's the 8th, though, the trigger, and he's on his side.
Man, we'll take a peek here going into 3, and oh, Davis got into the fence, and Newhoffen with nowhere to go gets upside down. No harm to Davis, really, it looks like, but all Newhoffen in trouble. So tough break for Cole as he was starting in 10th in that one and was working into the 6th or 7th spot, respectively. So was on his way to having a fairly decent heat race there, and just got himself into a little bit of trouble there with Colton Davis.
Yep, tough incident there in that case. By the way, in regards to the dash, 2 drivers are locked in. Of course, Powell with that victory in heat race 1, but David Holloman, based on speed, is now also in. Can confirm 2 of the drivers now locked in, but now we're getting close towards that same territory as before, just about, if not on the cusp of it. Adam Elby, Logan Rumsey, Richie McLeod, Cameron Merriman are your current drivers in the top 4. This may really help Lewis Hewitt, though, because I think he was just waiting for the right moment to pounce there, Billy, right before that caution came out.
Yeah, Lewis is one of the veterans of the simulation, so he knows what he needs to do and when. It's not worth breaking your momentum trying to clear a guy with 5 to go. It's better to keep your momentum built up, do what you can to get around him. But Merriman, world-class driver, one of the best on the sim, so going to be hard to get around him. Hopefully, interesting to see if McLeod can hang on to it here in the last couple of laps as we're getting ready to go green.
This will be a natural green-white checker. This will not be one of the 3 attempts referred to during heat race 1. If they take the white flag, race is official for this respective heat. Again, top 4 move on to the feature directly. Rest have to go to the alphabet / the dash, or attempt to get towards that territory. Here we go. Green flag back out. I'll be off and away by a massive margin. Rumsey checked up a bit. McLeod and Merriman up to the top side. Big slide to the bottom, though. Jeffrey Stewart trying to get to the bottom. Cannot make the move on Lewis Hewitt. Hewitt losing some time. White flag this time by Everyone clean off the jump. Merriman back and forth for P3 with McLeod. Merriman trying to go for the massive slide job into turn 2. Looking to secure the spot, passing by Rumsey. Rumsey backing it down. Here comes Hewitt. Hewitt now in the top, 3 wide for second. Rumsey with the slide, crossover back. Albie wins the heat. Merriman moves on. McLeod and Rumsey shuffled up to 4th as he says hello to the Armco to celebrate. Seward along with Hewitt, Davis among the drivers out.
Yeah, that another solid heat race. This track is actually racing a lot better than I thought it would be for how much grip there still is. So the bottom side really hasn't even started to come in yet, but we're still seeing a lot of 2-wide racing.
Heat race 3 may be close to similar ramifications because several of your championship competitors are in this one. Hayden Spike Harvey looks to try and run away using maybe the spike strips from Kevin Click. One of your top competitors in the championship standings starts on the outside front row in this one. Nathan Davis starts in P3. Rusty Kruger from Swindell Speed Lab rounds out the top 4. Braden Eiler starts in 5th, while James Edens will start in P6, the last car in the inversion spots. He was your winner for the Empire State Encounter at Weed Sport back on October the 7th. Kevin Hanley, Dustin Hall, Trey Gowden, and Colton Harvey are your 10 drivers in Heat Race 3. Some important positions on the line here if you're fighting for the championship. Let's put it that way with 2 of your front runners in this one.
Yeah, Kevin Click currently, I think, 2nd or 3rd in points right now, so
yep.
He's looking to have a really solid evening to try to stay into that top 10.
You can also technically add 3 part in. James Eden's also in that grouping as well, and of course Rusty Kruger, who's in 6th in the points entering tonight. And already it looks like James Eden's at the very least trying to see, okay, how's this top line working out? We've seen how it was working. We could also confirm that Albie and Bergeron have worked their way into the dash after heat race number 2. Overall expectations for heat race 3 now that the track's really worked itself in.
It's going to be interesting to see. I know, Eiler really likes the top side of the racetrack along with Kruger, Click. Eden's more of a bottom feeder, self-proclaimed bottom feeder. I expect to see pretty big things out of Colton Hardy as well off of the back row. But you really can't sleep on Kevin Hanley or Dustin Hall either. So this is a pretty stacked heat race. We'll have to see if Hayden Spike Harvey can take off and try to run away and hide in this heat race.
Pace truck is off. Heat race 3 is going to be stacked up for the green. Really late start, off and away. Bunched up everybody, side by side to start for second. Sliding down is Davis, looking to rip it away from Kevin Click. Click moves up into the spot. Rusty Kruger already shuffled up to 4th. Eden's dropped to 5th. And all of that checking up. Massive slide from the moon from Dustin Hall doesn't stick. First lead lap goes to Hayden Harvey. Already up by 0.4 of a second plus. Contact though. It is Dustin Hall spinning around Braden Eiler to start things off. And we're already under caution. That was quick.
Yeah, that was, we'll go back and watch that in replay here. That was a case, I think, of 2 guys fighting for the bottom side of the racetrack. Eiler made a late run in. Hall was already committed. Really not a ton he could do there. Unfortunate, but it looks like no harm, no foul, as Eiler's not going to have any damage, I don't think. Same thing with Dustin Hall, so they should be able to refire off and be just fine, but definitely made their heat race a lot harder.
Yeah, Eiler was in decent track position right before that, but now the rebump and restack as Kruger and Edens believe saying hello to each other and having some fun. Of note, end of longest line penalty will be given to Rumsey for the feature race. One of the main warnings given to the entire field after the last event for the series was any post-race crashing, whether it be fun like crashing to the wall or trying to ride the safer barriers or armcos or hitting each other, would be penalized. First driver finds that penalty out after smacking straight hard into the armco, nose first, for his respective end of the heat after losing 3 spots in about a lap. Now, 6 laps to go in this respective heat, expecting to want to go signal this upcoming time by. And this track is really worked its way hard and is really getting tacky at this point, it looks like. Also getting some slick built up along some of the straightaways, along the top wall down the front especially.
Yeah, that's one of the things about this place that some people just call it character, but it gets extremely slick down the front straightaway and the back straightaway. So really the top side might always be the fastest way around here, but there's just no grip to get down the straightaway. So all that momentum that you've gained through the corner, you just kill it down the straightaway. So you kind of got to be mindful of where your car placement is, especially with like the pit opening in the back straightaway. You don't want to get it too far out there and get caught up into that. So Williams Grove, one of the more technical racetracks on the sim, that's for sure, and in real life as well.
100% there. At least 2 instances I can think of in World Championship competition this year that drivers drove into those walls. Green flag is out. Harvey off and away for the Vanderpool Racing Machine. Click already up to the cushion. Davis preferring the middle line to start off this run. More momentum for Click off the corner. Top 3 have ran away. Kruger still holds on to 4th. James Edens also following Kruger to the bottom side. So is Dustin Hall, who continues to dive it. Harvey, though, loses the lead. Kevin Click getting the run off 3 and 4, takes it away. Slide jump back from Hayden Spike Harvey. Crossover back from Kevin Click. Halfway, this time by. Nathan Davis watches as Click again slides it back on forward. Contact! Harvey spun around. Caution is out again.
Yeah, that was a solid case of running out of real estate. Go back and see if we can get on to the instant replay to see exactly what happened to Mr. Harvey.
Wow.
Yeah, Harvey just goes into 3 knowing Click is going to slide him, has to drive it in extremely hard, gets a little free, and Davis just moved up the racetrack to get into him. So not sure if we're going to see a penalty or how the race officials are going to call that. But unfortunate for Spike Harvey, who is running extremely well up front.
Yeah, I have to say, I've seen his organization and his fellow drivers run really quick in recent weeks. Vanderpool Racing, several of their cars have competed up with the best of them, to say the very least. That's one of the teams that you really didn't see at the pro level up until this fall, really.
Yeah, and I will say, running, paying attention to the pro qualifiers, we've been seeing a lot of new teams like Vanderpool and a few others that have really made big strides over the last few months, getting faster and faster. It's definitely going to be an interesting pro season and end of the DRT. We're just actually getting notice from race control, no penalty to the 36 there. So as Hayden, they're claiming, or they're calling Hayden moving down on the racetrack, coming off of the cushion after getting a little bit loose. So interesting moves, but that does move James Edens into the 4th spot. So big move there to put himself into the dash as of right now.
Well, look who's in 5th already. Dustin Hall, who has been really aggressive into turn 3 off these restarts tonight. He's been setting massive slides to the bottom of the racetrack all the way to the middle, nearly hitting the back end of a couple cars at least twice off these jumps. Kevin Click, Nathan Davis, Rusty Kruger, James Edens, your current top 4. Click off and away. Contact as Hall gets hit in the back end by Colton Hardy. Already up to the wall is Kevin Click once again. Davis again to his happy spot on the middle line. Not able to get enough momentum. Furthest out Click has been yet. Kruger takes away P3, however. Gets the momentum to get to the outside of Edens in the 1 and 2 corner. One car up against the wall and Brandon Eiler. No caution yet. 3 laps to go. James Edens running the bottom side. Still Kruger trying to work the cushion. They've fallen back as P2 has run off and away. Click moves to the bottom. Davis moves to the middle line once again. More bumping and banging in the backdrop. No caution for those cars yet. That was Hanley with Dustin Hall bumping and banging. They're still 2 to 3 wide, several seconds behind the bubble spot. One driver with a good shot is Colton Hardy coming to the white flag. He is only 4/10 back of the battle for P3 between Kruger and Edens. White flag now up. Kevin Click up by 0.75 seconds. Davis in a comfortable spot. Still not done between Edens and Kruger yet. Side by side as Kruger pulls off for the momentum down into 3. He defends hard on the bottom side. Those cars are comfortable. Can Hardy get to him? No. Click moves on. Davis, Kruger, Edens also move on. It was close though. Hardy just about got there, just about a tenth of a second behind.
Yeah, one more lap maybe, and I think Colton Hardy was putting himself into the feature event.
And James Edens, I think, may have tried to celebrate and accidentally hit the wall. We'll see what they decide there, but that would trigger us to heat race number 4. By the way, your finishing order for the drivers into the alphabet: Hardy, Hanley, Harvey, Hall, Gowden, Eiler, and Dixon. Heat race 4, all set to go. The final heat race of the night. 8 more laps on the docket for John Helms to try and move on, with Ryan Schmidt in second. John Batista needs a strong night. As mentioned, your points leader entering the evening for Black Diamond. He starts alongside Jason Randolph. Ricky Sanders had a really good qualifying session, was top 5 at 1 point, starts in 5th with Hayden Cardwell, one of your quickest qualifiers overall, in 6th. Justin Smeebel starts in 7th with Pritchett in 8th. May rounding out the top 10 with Matt Dixon in this one. Now, one thing of note in that respective note, Hayden Cardwell has talked about wanting to make a run in the sprint cars. Of course, had a very, very strong late model campaign this year. Billy had talked about this prior and after his championship to me a little bit for a podcast I had hosted at the time, where he wanted to try the sprint cars for Slick Sim Sport.
Yeah, and I think I haven't even really looked, but I know he's won a few of the top split races. I think he's got himself qualified in for the most part, but definitely one of the top 5 drivers on the sim, without a doubt. And it seems like no matter what he gets in, he's insanely fast. Obviously, world champion in the late models, won a lot of big sprint car races, and actually a few big sprint car races here. So definitely can get the job done. It's good to see him into the Pro Series.
Can't wait to see how he does, especially with some of the big drivers. Many different world championship competitors we've seen run in both the series, some even from the pavement side, have made their way over to that side, and or some of his teammates, mind you, like the Casey Kerwins and the Zach Novaks of the world, who ran the sprint in respective divisions the spring. Now, coming up to the 1 to go signal, coming up to the green flag rather this time, John Helms be the control car for this one. He'll try and wheel the Raise Energy machine to the roof and all the way to the victory lane platform. He'll start alongside the 10 car Schmidt. Pace truck is off. Green flag is out. We're backing away from Williams Grove for Heat Race 4. Good launch for Helms. Already up to the top of the 10 machine. Batista looking to wheel the middle line to start. Contact behind Hayden Cardwell. Pinballed around. Upside down is Corey Pritchett. No caution yet. The 24 stuck on his side as the leaders come down the front stretch. Pritchett still trying to get moving. 6 also in trouble, and Hayden Cardwell. Both have told we stay green after a crazy start. Don't think that's how these drivers wanted that to start, Billy. Already the pack fairly split up as a result. The bubble spot sees the 58 already passed by Jason Randolph after all the craziness.
Yeah, that's definitely not what Hayden Cardwell wanted, especially from the 6th starting spot, trying to put himself into the dash. And Ricky Sanders was in trouble there after that one too, so we'll have to see if he can move back up. And Sheets into the wall now.
Sheets already bouncing around. He's all the way back to last in the lead lap, bringing Sanders with him. Sanders now stopped on the track. The 10 is already towed. The lead just about has changed. Helms and Batista now fight for the point. Halfway this time, Schmeebel and Randolph fairly comfortable by more than a second, hoping this stays green. Helms, cushion, Batista, middle. Can he carry the momentum through the slick? No. Helms better sticks it underneath the bridge. He still leads down the back. 3 laps to go this time here, Ricky. Or Billy, rather.
Yeah, and Batista really has to get by Helms here to put himself into the dash with the slider into one, but he's going to leave him room to get around on the top.
Really good, aggressive battling up here for the front, wanting a bit of track position maybe for that feature and a bit of fighting. Of course, winner of this respective heat goes on to the dash. So, a lot on the line, 2 to go. Helms now playing defensively. Batista, though, slides to the top. Helms has a problem. Helms is out of gas. The 10th, the 13 is out of gas. He's now out of the feature races. Dixon moves on. May has passed him. 1 to go this time. Batista's now in your lead. Batista, Schmeebel, Randolph, Dixon, your top 4. What a turn of events. Can the rest of the drivers make it on the gas? Batista leads by 6/10. He can coast from here. John Batista out of turn 4, moves on. He wins heat race 4. Schmeebel, Randolph, and Dixon will also move on.
What a wild one that one was. Not really sure why all the yellows are thrown by iRacing. So for whatever reason, it must have not triggered them where they were at in relation to the racetrack, which is odd, but unfortunate for a couple of those drivers there. We did get word from the last heat race. Clicking Eden's locked into the dash from that heat race. So we'll have to see who gets locked in from this as we go into the C main.
So D main will not be taking place. That means forced to advance to the B main, but it's now 8 from the B main to the feature race directly. So the drivers now in your C main tonight are Alex Good, Hayden Grease, Dustin Hall, Ryan Sheet, Tyson Landis, Cole Newhoffen, Drake Dowden, Ricky Sanders, Cole Cabry, who ran out of gas early in his respective race, William Hobart, Braden Eiler, Corey Pritchett. Your 12 drivers in the C main. 10 laps on the docket, top 4 advance. And there are several fast pro drivers and contenders here, all in this respective race. This is going to be a dogfight for fourth on back, I think.
Yeah, and only 10 cars, or only 10 laps to get it done. So only a couple laps extra from the heat races. Ricky Sanders ran into trouble. Cole Cabray with a fuel issue. Eiler had an abysmal heat race, but we've seen him before at the Wicked Cushion event back in February, I believe it was. He ran himself through the alphabet soup. So I know he was looking forward to Williams Grove tonight. So we'll see if he can get through the field. But Dustin Hall, Ryan Sheet out front, Tyson Landis. This is a really stacked C main that could be a good feature anywhere.
On pace lap. We'll see how things go. At least the drivers are in good spirits, it seems. I think some of them are trying to discuss when are they going to flip around. I don't think you want to do that, of course. Overall, though, who do you feel are some of the underdogs we haven't talked too much about who are in this respective C main?
Well, Peyton Grease has got, he's shown flashes of brilliance over the last few years. Same thing with Alex Good. Alex Good has been getting extremely competitive. Trey Galgon has also had some very good runs with DRT earlier on this season. So, and again, Corey Pritchett too. Corey Pritchett's been very fast throughout the DRT season and throughout the rest of the leagues on the sim. So, it's not just the big names or the big teams to look at. That front row is no slouch. Peyton really loves the bottom side of the racetrack. If he gets to the bottom before anybody else does, he might run away and hide from this one.
Have to see if he can hide and run away. That's going to be key, especially with several drivers who have been willing to slide their way into some fights. Dustin Hall in P3, a good example of that in his heat race. Pace truck is off. Green flag is out. Alex Good off and away. Great launch by Hall as well. Already clear for second. Grease moves up to the top. Landis looking to wheel his way from the middle line. Can't do so. Good with the massive bubble is into the fence. Good still bouncing around on the SSR car. He saves it around. A couple drivers pinball each other. Brendan Eiler shuffled to the very back spot. Eiler now shuffled up to 10th after more contact. The bubble spot is now Grease as Good is around for the caution.
Yeah, Good kind of got beat up there a little bit. His issues started on the back stretch. We'll go back through and watch this entire one actually from on board. That back stretch gets slick like we were talking about earlier. Got freed on the straightaway and then just kind of never really recovered. Maybe it broke something in the rear end, but same exact thing, just gets loose into the slick and up and over she goes. So tough break for the pole sitter, Alex Good.
He didn't even get to the pit lane. That's how broken that car got to be. He drove straight into a tire. To put it into the words of Shea Powell, the speed wobbles coming into play, which can happen. Your dash cars, by the way. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, we here in Indiana, the place called Winchester Speedway, we call it the Winchester Wiggle when the thing gets real light down the straightaways and it starts to get a little free on you. A lot of people think with the wing sprint cars, even on the sim, that you just hold it wide open, the wing will keep you planted. That's just not the case. You really have to use a lot of throttle control. There's going to be times, there's times in the features where when it gets super slick, you're rarely past half throttle. So you really have to be mindful. Throttle position, brakes, and steering inputs as well. You make a wrong steering input down the straightaway, and you can crash easier on the straightaways here than you can in the corners sometimes. So it's definitely a fine line between on the edge and over the edge, as we saw with Alex Good there.
He's actually confirmed that as the bad speed wobbles, by the way. Your dash cars, by the way, in terms of your heat winners in speed. Howell, Heilman, Albie, Bergeron, Click, Edens, Batista, Merriman will all compete in the dash later on tonight. Keep that in mind for your top runners in this one. But getting all set to go once again. Want to go signal as it's Dustin Hall in the race lead. Second spot is Trey Landis. Cole Newhoffen already up to third, with Peyton Greaves rounding up the top four. Cole Cabery to fifth. Sanders, Galgun, Eiler, Pritchett, and Sheep around the 10 cars. Still on track. Off and away we go. Green flags back out. Landis, a poor start for the Team CD car. He's already up to the top wall, nearly up to the Armco, just about on the cushion. Newhoffen riding next to the inside wall. Keeps it side by side for second. Rips it away in the wicked cushion car. The Select Sim Sport machine of Dustin Hall rotates on the bottom. Newhoffen nearly stops in the Armco. Side by side for the race lead. Hall, hard and aggressive through the slick. Now up to the middle. Newhoffen with a cross. Cabery coming in quickly as well. 2-3 wide. Landis still watching on the wings as Newhoffen is clear for the race lead. Hall tries to rotate on the middle side still. Can he get it to work? The middle line worked a lot in the daytime. Back in the sprint cars in the spring, the World Championship. It does for the spot. Newhoffen with a problem, hard off the gas. Has been backing up hard into 1 and 2. He got hit hard by several cars. Ricky Sanders is now in the bubble spot, coming to halfway this time. Something going on there with that 8 machine in Newhoffen tonight. He is really snapping it around into 1 and 2, Billy.
Yeah, he's one of the more aggressive guys that's on the bottom side of the racetrack. He likes to really get down there, jam on the brakes, and get himself down on the guardrail. But Eiler making a run around the outside into the 4th transfer spot.
Can make it stick now with 4 laps to go. Eiler working hard up the cushion. Waves goodbye to Landis. Up to P4 is Eiler. He's worked his way from the very back of the field already in this one. Still your race lead up for grabs. Dustin Hall and Cole Newhoffen fighting for track position. Looking to lock themselves not just into the main for better positioning for said main to get into the top 8 drivers for the feature race. Ricky Sanders passes by on the high side. Where did he come from as he hits the cushion? Newhoffen slide jumps him back. Parks the bus. Newhoffen leads at the stripe. 2 laps to go as Dustin Hall again slides from the bottom. Really up to the cushion is Sanders. Nearly knocks the fence down. 3 wide for second again. Here comes the bottom line for Brendan Eiler. Middle line for Newhoffen. Dustin Hall still falls in the middle and bottom lines. White flag is out. Newhoffen in the lead for wicked cushion. Final lap for the C main. Newhoffen defends in the middle line. Dustin Hall loses second again to Eiler. Eiler checks up. Check up from Hall. Newhoffen up to the top line. Checker flag waves this time as Dustin Hall will take second. No, it's Eiler in second. Newhoffen, though, is your winner. Ricky Sanders also moves on. What a finish.
Wow.
Cole Newhoffen, Landis, Greaves, Sheep, Pritchett among the drivers out.
What an absolute race. Eiler coming from the rear. Newhoffen fighting off everybody in that. Really, really shocked to see Cole on the outside looking in after such a strong start to the heat race. But now these boys are going to have to do it again as they're going to start 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th.
Why do you think they were fighting so hard for the race lead? Am I right? Michael Heilman, though, was really fighting hard for a transfer spot in his heat. He'll start on the pole instead for the B main. Jeffrey Stewart will start in second for Vel's Up Simsport, with Colton Hardy in third. Andrew May starts fourth, but Justin Stoltz rounding up the top 5. He's one of the Vanderpool drivers we're referring to. Lewis Hill will start at 6th, with Kevin Hanley in 7th. John Helms, heartbreak was what he said after his respective heat through the Facebook feed of tonight's action. He starts 8th. Daniel Zegers Zagers rather, with Colton Davis in 10th. Harvey starts in 11th with Hayden Cardwell in the 12th position. Remember, Cardwell was fast in his heat before being spun around several dozen times. But the drivers behind him just competed in the C main. It's Newhoffen, Eiler, Sanders, and Hall who all advanced. 10 laps the distance, top 8 advance. No pressure, you just have to hold off about 8 cars if you're in a bubble spot.
Yeah, no pressure at all, especially with the Hornet's Nest behind you. Hayden Spike Hardy had a great heat race going until he had some unfortunate trouble. Same thing with Cardwell. Colton Davis drove his butt off in his heat race after an incident with Newhoffen. The man I think that did the most in his heat race, not in the show yet, Colton Hardy, started dead last in his heat race, drove it to 5th, almost transferring in, and put himself in the second row of the V. So very, very important for him to have that good heat race run, and hopefully he has another good run like that here in the B.
It's a chance for redemption for some of your fastest drivers in qualifying and some drivers who struggled early in their heats and or got into trouble, as mentioned. Davis, Cardwell, Helms, among your drivers you can put in that category. Justin Stoltz, if you consider the contact with that massive check that happened for the battle for the race lead at one point in his heat. But it's time to fasten your seatbelts. It's B-main time. Top 8 advance. Pace truck is off. Michael Heilman in control of the field. Off and away he goes. We're underway. 10 laps from Williams Grove. Massive weeble wobble for May. Already on the high side is Lewis Hewitt in several cars. Fighting hard side by side. Third on back. Jeffrey Stewart drives down to the bottom of the track. Hardy looking for second. Now for the lead. Jeffrey Stewart trying to slide in front. Can't. Michael Heilman defends. 9 laps to go. Still back and forth up towards the point. Still the 72 preferring the bottom of the racetrack. The 911 of Heilman preferring the top. Better momentum though. Down the back straightaway. Backs off the gas as Jeffrey to the race lead. Lewis Hewitt in now trouble. He's had to use the tow. He's got damages. Several other cars knocked down the fence. 15 cars still running. Those 15 cars separated by about 8 seconds. Dustin Hall, one of the drivers, along with Brendan Eiler, who have lost several seconds, Billy, as a result of contact towards the back. Another car in the fence of Ricky Sanders. Your C main drivers are having a nightmare.
Yeah, definitely not what they were wanting. You're going to need a yellow at some point to get caught back up to the field.
And there it is.
There it is.
Unfortunately, it's Sanders among those drivers in it. Eiler was also in the vicinity. We are under caution. Several reviews now underway from race control. Lewis Hewitt had to use a tow. Ricky Sanders was the trigger for the caution flag, though, Billy.
We're going to go back and take a look here at instant replay, see exactly what happened. There was kind of carnage all over the place as these guys were fanning out, trying to get position. And Ricky just gets tight on entry into 1, which is really easy to do. Spins down the racetrack, and it must have broke the rear end out of the thing because he went back into 3. Same exact thing, spin cycle. And Eiler with nowhere to go. So we'll have to see if that's going to damage Eiler's chances any, as we're going to have 6 to go when we go back green, it looks like.
Give or take, if not 7. But still. That was also the second or third time before that initial contact that caused the caution flag that he smacked the wall. How tricky is it to make sure you don't knock that Armco down when you need to run the cushion and know that you make it stick, you're likely getting good momentum off the corner. You get a delayed yellow.
Here it's completely it's completely different running the top side here than it is anywhere else. I would actually relate this most to Weed Sport, the probably the track with the most character on the game. But this one, again, it's so, the corners are so tight, but it's deceiving around the top. You really have to get the car into the corner and rotate it enough, but not too much. There's, that fine line, but you've got to be able to get the car rotated enough to turn it on the cushion. And a lot of these cars that ran, you set them up so tight to get down the straightaway that a lot of times they can push on entry. And if you miss your entry point a little bit, that's exactly what happens. You put the right front in the wall, and a lot of times you break something, and it really may not feel like it until you get into the next corner. So you really have to be mindful about car placement here big time. You want to keep it off the wall as much as humanly possible anywhere, but especially here, the way that the corners are shaped, it's extremely tight. Like you said earlier, Martinsville, long straightaways, tight corners. So you really have to be mindful about where that wall is, where your right rear is at all times.
Race control also advising the competitors track is very wide right now and very slick straightaways. Can confirm that Sanders and Hewitt are both out of the race at the very minimum in this one. Pace truck is off. It is Jeffrey Stewart in control of the field. Michael Heilman, Kevin Hanley, Colton Harvey, Justin Stoltz, Cardwell, May, Helms in the transfer spots as they stack up on the restart. Several cars fanning out down the front stretch. Good launch though for the 72. Michael Heilman already up to the cushion. Several drivers saying black flags with the check. Colton Davis shuffled out to 13th. Drivers will continue to race on though as they fight side by side for second. Heilman moves onto the spot. The bubble spot though is controlled by Daniel Zegers at the moment. Taking a look at that fight for the race lead now with the bubble spot as well. Back and forth throughout all this. Crazy battles throughout. Heilman and Hanley back and forth. Hanley more speed on the bottom side though. Nearly got to the back end of the 72. Good run for Michael Heilman though. 3 cars have ran away from the rest of the pack. Good scrap continues on past halfway this time. Regards to the bubble spot, it is going to be busy. Towards that spot is currently Daniel Zegers in control of that spot, but Cole Newhoffen is the first car out. Massive checkup in front. Newhoffen makes the pass around. He's now up to P8. Helms and May nearly made contact. Hayden Cardwell now joins the fray. 3 wide off the corner in some groups. More squeezes. Hayden Cardwell moves back to the bottom side. Hayden Cardwell over-rotates the bottom, will lose several spots in time. 3 laps to go. Still 3 wide, meanwhile 4P4 on back. Michael Heilman is in your race lead at the moment. Kevin Hanley uses the bottom in second. Jeffrey Stewart's been cycled back to third, but Colton Harvey is in a comfortable spot and looking for more though, still in fourth. 2 laps to go as Hardy moves up top. Seward gets squeezed underneath. Here comes Hayden Cardwell, 3 wide for third. Massive check coming from Hardy. Jeffrey Seward now moves up the spot. Still coming to the white flag this time as they nearly tap each other. Michael Heilman runs off and away by 0.4 of a second. Huge contact in the back. Colton Davis and Harvey squeeze each other to the fence. They're stopped at the start and finish line. They're now moving out of the way. The battle for the B-main win coming down to this. Michael Heilman takes the checker flag. He moves on with Hardy, along with Hanley, Cardwell, May, Seward, Newhoffen, and Zegers, your top 8.
Wow, another very wild one. Very, very wild one as we get ready for the dash. But a couple guys shocking to not see in the show. Hayden Spike Harvey, Braden Eiler could only manage to get to 10th. So, or he was, it looks like, 1 spot out there on timing and scoring. But wild night we've had so far. A lot of really good racing. And here's something new that we're seeing with DRT this week. We're going to go through and we're just going to kind of give you an overview of what's going on. We've had a few instances where the tracks have become 1 lane. So what we've decided to do is do a little bit of a track reset. So you guys in normal real life situations get to see sometimes the water trucks. Here we got the virtual ones out. And having the race cars go out and burn this racetrack in for a few minutes while they get the dash lineup right. We do know your dash cars are Shea Paulo, David Heilman, Adam Elby, Alex Bergeron, Kevin Click, James Edens, John Batista, and Cameron Merriman. So all these guys are going to be out here working this racetrack in for approximately 2 or 3 minutes. We'll see maybe a little bit more. Zane's going to be watching the racetrack to see where we're trying to find that sweet spot of getting the track to move around a little bit. We saw some really good racing in the heat races and the C main. That's exactly what we're wanting. You definitely don't want to see as we can actually watch from this camera angle, the track is already starting to change, blowing some marbles off the bottom, getting that worked in. So going to be interesting to see how the track reset works out tonight.
Drivers are now starting to sort things out, and here's one thing to keep in mind with the dash draw as well. The draw order will be for the rulebook in the order of the final qualifying standing. So the fastest qualifier that makes the dash get the first draw, the second fastest gets the second pick, and so forth. A heat race win does not guarantee yourself an early dash draw spot, for that reasoning, of course. So, drivers will be called to the end of pit road, so to sort things out, they'll be told to roll on the track once everything's clear. The faster the field gets an order, the sooner the green will come in. 6 laps will be that distance for tonight's dash for this race. In other words, it's something that allows you as a driver to, if you had a fast qualifying time, once again, and you are still able to move your way into the feature race, you're rewarded for that qualifying pace as an incentive to qualify strong here. As long as you keep your car clean, I think some of these drivers are going to be happy here. And then they'll have good track position for what's expected to be what we've already seen as a crazy night for what could be a crazy feature race of 25 laps distance, Billy.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and especially the thing that's going to throw a lot of these guys off, I believe, really, is the fact that we haven't seen this sort of racetrack yet with DRT. A lot of times by this time, the track is very, very slick from top to bottom, where there's really not much of a cushion to lean on, and the bottom side's really not there either. So it's just a guessing game of where you need to be onto the racing track. Now with the way that the line is going to be changing, the top side may be there for the first 15, and then may vastly change for the last 10 laps. So it's going to be a lot more interesting of a race. I think we're already starting to see. We'll go back to the overview look to where you can actually see the track starting to change quite a bit. Cameron Merriman up really running the top side, so is Heilman. Working the tracks in just kind of the way that you want it to be. This is a good overview to see the difference in 3 and 4 compared to 1 and 2.
Yeah, you see really already. Some drivers still trying to work in that cushion. See at the close end of the racetrack in 3 and 4. It's a little bit more worked in a touch bit in 1 and 2, but several drivers are still yet to venture out there. Many have used the middle to bottom throughout this practice and work those track lines in. Still sorting things out here for the rest of the grid for this dash. Start up in the next few minutes or so. And that's one of the advantages as a competitor here too, is trying to get the final setup tweaks together, because one of the main things I remember discussing with some drivers is with these sprint cars, the amount of fuel you put in can affect the handling as well. You also have the ability to adjust the wings, yes, but you also want to have the chassis all set to go for whether it's going to be a slick track, it's going to be a fresh track, or in-between track.
Well, and that was one of the biggest reasons why we really wanted to try this, and Williams Grove is a good racetrack to try it at, for that exact reason. So many of these guys, the track, in real life, you see sprint car races where a guy may not be very good at the beginning of the race, but he'll be insanely fast at the end. So now it's going to be a situation of how do I set my car up to still have the maneuverability with the top wing adjustment, because that's the only adjustment you have in these cars. So the farther forward that wing is, the freer the car, the more it moves back, the tighter the car is going to get. So a lot of these guys are probably going to go out with pretty flat wings straight forward and move it back as the race goes on. So it's going to be a very interesting dash here. I think this is going to be pretty telling to see how all this is going to go, as it looks like the dash is getting ready to get lined up. And again, your dash cars: Paolo, Heilman, Elby, Bergeron, Click, Edens, Batista, and Merriman. And it looks like Mr. Edens may have drawn himself the pole.
Yes, indeed. Kevin Click also with a good draw. Also going to be up here, Bergeron, as long as he doesn't hit the back end of the row here, please. Cameron Merriman, Rusty Crew. Here's the specific order, rather, to reset. Edens currently lined up with Elby at the moment, rather. Then, at the moment, is David Heilman, who is currently positioning himself at Pierce P3. That may change, though, with Kevin Click and among a couple drivers trying to sort things out here. Bergeron looking to line up 4th. Kevin Click will line up at least 6th. Also lining up in about 8th will be Powell. There's your 3rd place car, by the way. The reason for the checkup is Cameron Merriman. So Heilman will cycle to 7th. That also moves the car involving John Batista back to P7, or P5 rather. 6 laps the distance. Drivers will go green out of turn 4. The trophy dash all set to go. Here we go. 6 laps. James Edens with a great launch. Kevin Click already defends high to the top line. Merriman tries to work in the bottom. Bergeron works to the cushion. Big slide as still losing tons of time is the assistant official in Shea Powell. He now looks to attack Heilman. Can't in the back drop. Your race leader in Edens, though, already up by about half a second or so. Kevin Click trying to shuffle behind in the middle of the pack still. 3 wide for P3 right in front of him. Merriman, Bergeron with the squeeze. Batista forced to back up. Bergeron in the fence. He's flipped around. No caution, as now it's single file for the top 5. Drivers now trying to sort things out here after some of the contact a couple laps in, as the top 2 have ran off and away in this dash. LB and Edens are just about gone. Merriman to 3rd, Click in 4th, Batista to 5th. Halfway this time as Heilman says hello.
Yeah, very, very rare mistake out of Bergeron there getting into 3. Like we said before, just getting super tight on entry.
Gonna lose some track position for the main event. P8 likely the sort out as a result of the contact, but still off and away with a couple laps to go is James Edens. What a gap built up on the rest of the field. He now leads by about a second. LB in 2nd, Merriman comfortably in 3rd. Click trying to hold on in front of Batista for the top 5. Heilman 6th, white flag is out as Powell's in 7th. No major moves quite yet for the track position. Here comes one for Batista though. Click trying to cross him back up. This is for P4 for the starting grid. To the bottom side goes Click. Contact. Batista's up to the safer barrier. Heilman door checks. Click into the wall. Checker flag waves. Edens wins. 2nd spot goes to LB. 3rd spot ends up in turn to Merriman. Review for 4th on back, however, coming up.
We haven't had a dash in DRT that's disappointed. That one got a little wild for some different reasons, but track I think is working in. We gonna be working in to be pretty racy here once these cars get once they get a full load of fuel into them. I think we're gonna have a pretty racy program.
I think so too, and you can see your drivers lining up in part of the order of how things shaped out here. Edens very happy, it seems. LB in 2nd. Batista currently feeling like a P3, but I believe there was an error car in front. Powell also with a great run in his respective trophy dash performance. Now, the track worked in a little bit more. Now it's the main thing, though, of making sure everything's all sorted. And remember, there is a review for that contact out of turn 4 with several drivers hungry to get back on the racetrack and working in a little bit more before the 25-lap feature. And for this feature, as a driver, how do you plot this out? Because we've seen how crazy the night's been. We've talked about how crazy the night's been. Now the main event coming up in just a few minutes or so. Your expectations for tonight and how you plan it out if you're on the track.
I mean, you really have to, if we're not going to go to any more warm-up, which it doesn't look like we're going to do. I think if race control was going to have them do that, we would. RDC cars on the racetrack, but the bottom side, the entry to the corners is already starting to slick off. It's already starting to slick off as well down the straightaways. So this is going to be a really interesting feature. We're going to see guys moving around. We may not see a lot of movement in the first 5 to 10 laps, but with 24 cars out on the racetrack, we're definitely going to see some guys charging from the back of the field up to the front. I would be, with Eden starting on the front row, I wouldn't be shocked to see him, take the feature win. But it also would not shock me a bit to see the guy like Bergeron, Cardwell, any of those guys come from a little bit deeper back in the field to take the victory tonight. So it's going to be a guessing game of what setup you want to run. Are you going to set up for the end of the race? Are you going to set up for the beginning of the race to try to pick up as many spots as you can and then just kind of hang on at the end? So it's going to be a pretty interesting 25 laps, I do believe.
Believe so as well. And by the way, to confirm things per rule book, there will be no open warm-up for other feature drivers for tonight's action. The drivers, once everything's sorted, will field in grid in the order iRacing says per sim. As soon as the truck rolls, the field will be called to rearrange the correct starting order according to what we've seen for the dash finish and heat race finishes. All black flags that will occur will be cleared the moment the last car crosses the line at the start of the race via a clear all command that race control does have available.
And
as some of these drivers go ahead.
And big thanks to iRacing too for putting that in. That makes the admin's job a lot easier when you have to run the dash, or when you do dashes like this, as the iRacing format normally just puts P1 on P1 and goes from there. So we have to do a little bit of shuffling manually, but big thanks to iRacing for putting that feature in for us.
Absolutely helpful. Of course, keep in mind that Rumsey does have an EOL despite his positioning. Several drivers also continue to sort things out as well. Speaking of which, who do you feel are the favorites for tonight after what we've seen so far?
Man, this place has kind of been Bergeron's playground for a very, very long time. I think it's hard to go against him there. I do expect to see good things out of Hayden Cardwell as long as he can keep it clean. I know the last couple DRT races he's had a little bit of rough luck, as it looks like we're getting ready to go back into the feature event. But yeah, I think in my heart of hearts, I got to go with Bergeron coming from the 8th spot. So even though he's starting 8th, he'll have a good shot to get in there. And actually, we just got our starting order put in there. I'll put up the starters for this feature, and we'll turn it over to Justin so he can get you guys going where people are.
This is from Race Control. Just now, this is the official starting lineup for these drivers. They will sort out via sim as mentioned right now. For James Edens, he'll be your pole sitter in this race tonight, with Adam Elby in 2nd. Merriman will start in P3 with Batista in 4th. David Heilman will start in 5th with Powell, Kleck, and Bergeron, your 8 drivers from the dash. In 9th position, it's Sheridan, one of your top drivers outside the dash, with Davis rounding up top 10, Nathan Davis to be precise. And Ishibo in 11th spot, with McLeod in 12th. Rusty Kruger will start in 13th with Randolph in 14th. Rumsey will get a vendor longest line penalty. He was scheduled to start 15th alongside Dixon, with Michael Heilman rounding out the top 17. Hanley starts 18th. Colton Hardy, along with Hayden Cardwell, starting deep in the field in 19th and 20th. May Stewart, Newhoffen, and Zegers rounding out your entrants in this heat race tonight. Rest of the field now sorting themselves out for this upcoming start. Your final expectations and keys to victory tonight.
Biggest key to victory is keeping the car clean. We've seen a few times where guys have gone to the bottom, got checked up. We've seen a few guys get super tight on entry into the corners and put themselves into the wall. So biggest thing is keeping the car clean, keeping yourself in contention to do that, and then also making sure that you've got the right setup on the car. Just looking at the cars pacing around right now, you see Bergeron's wings extremely flat and pretty far forward. Eden's, it looks like he's got a little bit of angle in his. Same thing with Paolo and a lot of the rest of them. So Bergeron going for some max speed down or low drag, but really the biggest thing is keeping the car clean. Keeping the car clean just for those 25 laps as we are getting ready to go green.
Here we go. Fasten your seatbelts. It's time to go racing from Williams Grove. Off and away goes James Edens. We're underway for race 6 of the DRT season for the Posse Roundup. Great launch for Edens, already up to the middle line, up ahead by half a second. Fight from second on back sees Merriman already to P2. Adam Elby in the cushion to P3. Batista side by side with David Heilman to start. 3-4 wide in the Hornet's Nest to end lap 1. Plenty of left still on the pylon as Heilman nearly hits the inside wall, slides to the bottom side in 1 and 2. Looks to get clear of Batista, just about does. Right behind him still is Powell. Click among the drivers moving up. Click watches as Sheridan fights Bergeron going backwards though in all of this early on in this race. Bergeron already shuffled back to about the edge of the top 10 and struggling on the bottom early in this one here.
Yeah, and he is really trying to make the bottom side work, which really right now it's not there yet. The top side is just so fast. It's hard to keep your momentum up.
Still trying to rotate it hard to the bottom side. He's already been shuffled to the edge of the top 10, but the rest of the drivers towards the front have single filed out for now. The top 3 have broken away. Edens, Merriman, Albee, David Heilman up to 4th. Batista, Click among your top drivers. At the moment, Michael Heilman of note, a bit of trouble towards the back, got shuffled back 4 positions from 20th to 24th. Near contact, though, on screen. Kevin Click and Michael Sheridan nearly scrapping. Bergeron takes a chance. Bergeron gives a tire scrub. Sheridan forced to over-rotate. Nathan Davis takes advantage along with Dylan Schmiebel as they both move along on the high side. Bergeron now picking up the pace. Took a little bit of bumping and running there, but he's now fighting for 7th. Bit of contact to the wall in front of him, however. Batista and Heilman tangled up a touch. Heilman scraped the wall with his right side tires. He's now dropped to P5. Fight is on, though, from about 6 on back still. Kevin Click among the drivers defending hard. That is about nearly 3 seconds behind your race leader. 18 laps to go this time here. Billy.
Yeah, and we're seeing the track is already starting to change. Eden's really the pace in the field, but Cameron Merriman's starting to track him back in. He was about a 10th faster that lap. But the man on the move right now is Bergeron. Bergeron is running the quickest laps on the racetrack as of right now. So the bottom side starting to come in as Kevin Click moves a little bit further back.
Bergeron already up to 5th. He was just in about as low as 12th in the corners at the start of this one. He is the only driver really working in the bottom, and it's being helped by the fact that cars are hitting the top and he's hit the wall. Bergeron hit the safer barrier in Armco on the bottom of the racetrack. He loses several positions. Also a bit of trouble in the mid-pack as Nathan Davis and Powell both tangled up. Logan Rumsey also now out of the race. He'll be your first DNF for the feature. 15 laps to go. Your top 3 still lead by about a full second for the next grouping on back. It's Edens, Albee, Merriman. Your top 3 at the moment. Edens just a rocket right now, and he's up at the top. You talked about his tendencies usually in the bottom. Well, the few times I've seen Edens utilize the top line to middle line at this track or on any track in this car.
Yeah, and as we were talking about that, and we just go to him, and Cardwell
Caution.
Was literally just getting ready to go and talk about how far up through the field Hayden Cardwell had gone. But we'll get a look at here on replay, and there it is. Just, Schmiebel got loose on the top side of the racetrack. Batista with nowhere to go, and then Cardwell got into the back of him. So we'll go back and see what actually happened here to Schmiebel.
I think he hit Kevin Click's tire.
Yeah, got in there way too deep. Got into Click and just kind of a chain reaction. Tough break there. Hayden Cardwell not having much luck in DRT right now. He's been fast in every single event that we've had. Just not the luck that he's been used to having in a lot of the other series.
He's currently off track at the moment after that incident. A rough break from Cardwell, his 3rd start of the season. He finished 20th in his first feature at Lanier at that dirt circuit after starting in the top 6. Didn't even transfer to the main at Weed Sport back on October the 7th. Now, 13 to go when we get back racing. This bunches back up the field, and I don't know if this is exactly what James Edens wanted to see here because him, Albee, and Merriman were gone. Now, Bergeron, who is really catching up a lot on the bottom, he's going to be right there.
Yeah, that was the break that Bergeron needed. He, like you said, he was back to 12th at one point at the beginning of the race, worked his way back up into the 4th spot. It was catching the leaders, but now that he's right on the rear bumper of them, Merriman's a rim rider himself. Albee's, but none of these guys in really the top 10 are any slouches. So really, it's still anybody's race. It's just going to be depending on who's got the fastest car. Really, now the next 13 or 14 laps.
I mean, there's a reason Bergeron is a back-to-back champion. And keep in mind, at one point, Bergeron, early in his sim racing career, qualified right before dirt came into play in iRacing, or what was the Open Wheel Championship, the Road Course Championship, and for eNASCAR at the time. He's off and away in P4, off and away as Edens into turn 1 right to his happy place, the bottom. Hitting the wall is Kevin Click in the grouping on the bottom. He gets checked up along with Batista. Eden's now off by 3-4 car lengths. LB defending hard, but Bergeron rips away the bottom from LB. 3 wide for second as Bergeron in the ABR machine looks to pinch up. Moving up is Merriman. He slides up to the cushion. He's still fighting for P3. Bergeron rips it away, however. LB now holds on to second. 11 laps to go. LB hard on the defense and hard into the tires. Both of them check up. Merriman gets a break as he now fights for second. This is all helping Edens. That does not. A caution flag is out. Once again, I believe it may have been Batista. Batista was in 6th last time. He is now in the 20s. And a little bit of close quarters racing, and a couple cars have just scraped that arm code tonight and looped it around. That time Batista loops it.
Yeah, that's one of the downsides, or one of the very technical or tricky parts of this racetrack. If you get down on the bottom in 3 and 4, you have to be extremely precise in order to make sure that you don't get into the inside wall, because if you get into the inside wall, it just upsets the car so much, and then in that case, it can kind of get some grab action and spin you around. So Batista's got about 10 laps left in this thing, so he'll have to see how far he can move back up, because this is really going to shake up the points battle now.
Yeah, remember, he was in that fight by a good margin. Came into the night as your points leader by 40 points over Kevin Click. Click is still in your top 10 for comparison's sake. Believe Batista can gain some of his spots back. That's the bright side. Get him back because he got up to speed. The main downside is he still loses spots because of how long it took for him to get on the gas. Either way, fasten your seatbelts. It's been a wild night. Wendigo signal this time as James Edens continues to play with the pace truck there, and Heidelman continues to play in the slick. I have to say, though, it's been a great feature race, though, here, Billy, especially with the fresher track. Multiple lines have worked their way in. Looking like that's going to be the case potentially all the way to the finish, the way this has flowed.
Yeah, that's what we're really going for. You know, even though, you know, Edens is led from the pole, the biggest thing is we're seeing guys moving around the racetrack. Merriman's still making the top side work. Bergeron's trying to fight for the bottom. LB's kind of going everywhere that he just needs to go in order to try to get by LB or Edens, excuse me. So there's cars that have been moving forward quite a bit. Dylan Schiebel up into 7th, so good run for him there. There's a lot of guys just moving through the feature. Daniel Zager's up from the back of the field, your 24 starter. He's in 16th currently. So a lot of cars moving up towards the field as we're getting ready to go back green.
Plus 14 for Newhoffen as well. That's been very quiet throughout the night. Off and away, 10 laps to go. Edens with a great launch again. Off to the bottom, LB to the middle. Merriman to his happy cushion. Merriman ripping the top. Bergeron waving goodbye for P3. Heidelman waving goodbye for P4. Fight is now on for second on back. Bergeron has been really wheeling that bottom all night. He nearly scrapes the wall. LB with a great boost down the front. Eden's looking to build up the cushion as everybody else fights side by side, a couple rows deep in the back of the field. Top 3 have now up by half a second over Cameron Merriman. LB goes top this time. Bergeron goes bottom. Diamond for LB squeezes back down Bergeron off the corner. Colton Hardy now out of your race. 3rd DNF of the night. He's putting on the tow truck in the 29 machine. One car spun. It's Click. Kevin Click in the middle of the pack is spun. Caution is out.
Oh, and gets with his teammate there, unfortunately. Let's go back and take a look and see what's happened here from Kevin Click.
And
Schiebel,
this brought a thank you to that.
Yeah, Schiebel getting into the backside there of Mr. Click. I'm sure he's not going to be too overly happy there with the Swindell Speed Lab driver, Dylan Schiebel there. So tough break there for Kevin Click. Nothing really he could do, just fighting for the bottom, and Schiebel getting into the back of him.
That really just helped out John Batista, though, to minimize any points lost.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, any time that you can catch a quick yellow, you don't like to see it at the detriment of anybody else, but anytime that you can, reset and restart farther ahead than where you started previously, that's really all that he can ask for right now with 7 to go.
Not only that, Batista's about a couple spots ahead now as a result. But about 7 to go when we get back racing. Bergeron is up to 3rd now after Merriman fell off. This is still going to be difficult because Edens has been really quick. Albie has been comfortable in using the diamond loft line off 3 and 4, so that's going to potentially impact how the exit at turn 4 could be. All these drivers are making 3 different lines work for their respective car builds.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we were going for with this track rework, was getting guys to be able to move around the racetrack. We're still seeing Cameron run the top side of the racetrack. He's more than likely not going to be going to the bottom. He's going to be a win it or wear it guy up along the top side of the racetrack. Elby and Edens just doing exactly what they need to do out front in order to keep Bergeron at bay. So Heilman might be sitting in the catbird seat, though. He's been one of those that's always quick on iRacing, and it would not shock me to see him on the podium either. But Cole Newhoffen, like you were saying, up to 6th. So he has really moved through this feature, making his way towards the front of the field.
Schiebel gets the end of longest line for the caution flag, so he'll lose several positions as well. Wendigo signaled out this time. Do you think Newhoffen has enough time here to try and do something, because he still has to get around that group who's already about a half a second back after 3 laps, in Heilman in front of him along with Merriman?
Well, and that's going to be tricky because, it's, just like in anything, the farther forward you go, the harder it is the farther forward you go, the faster the cars are that you have to pass. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can pick off Heilman. I think if he can get a good restart here, he may crack the top 5 pretty quick. But I know he's probably down on the bottom side of the racetrack.
Green flag is out, 7 to go in the feature race from Williams Grove. Bergeron now in the catbird seat from P3. Merriman to the hotline seat. On the top line, door banging a little bit. Tire to tire, Albie and Bergeron. Albie all the way up to the wall. Nearly spins it around as Bergeron rips away 2nd. 6 laps to go as Edens now within range to try and have to defend. Bergeron to the very bottom. Edens now going the middle line, forcing Bergeron to squeeze. We'll see if Bergeron can get there as the Swindell Speed Lab machine really hugs the bottom. The pink, black, and teal machine nearly scrapes the wall. 5 laps to go as Bergeron is right there. Bergeron just avoids the Armco. Albie up to the cushion. He watches behind. Here comes the defense now again from Edens. Huge slide again from Albie up the track. Massively off the gas, Bergeron and Edens nearly went to a complete stop. Albie now with a shot to pounce. Albie now fights again for 2nd. Edens now looking in the mirror, defends both lines down the straight. 3 to go as Bergeron slides. Edens up the track. Edens nearly into the wall. Bergeron scrapes the wall. More momentum for Edens. Bergeron with the run back. Bergeron nearly hits the tires. Albie to the back end of Edens. Edens over-rotates Bergeron to the race lead with 2 laps to go. This time by as Albie moves up to the cushion. Merriman back in it. Edens tries to fight back. Bergeron again scrapes the wall. Bergeron again takes the lead of the stripe. Can he hold on is the main thing. Big check on Edens. White flag in the race is official. Remember, any caution from this point of the corner can bring down a GWC. Merriman knocked the wall down. Bergeron picks up the white flag. Race is official. Final lap from Williams Grove. Edens led a majority of the laps tonight. Albie was there a majority of the night. But in the end, it's the bottom line warrior doing it again. Alex Bergeron out of the final corner. Looks to hold on. Big run from Edens. It's not enough. It's Bergeron who wins at Williams Grove. 2nd to Edens, Albie to 3rd, Merriman and Heilman. Your top 5.
What a race. That is exactly why the top 5 are some of the best on the sim. Just good racing, close racing, hard racing. That's exactly what we like to see.
And what a drive and what a set for Bergeron. Really the only driver who stuck the bottom consistently the entire night. And it showed that that car could be one to beat again in 2020, 2021 for the World Championship action. But let's take a look at your finishing order for tonight's feature race at the halfway point of this season. Race 6 goes to Alex Bergeron over James Edens, with Adam Elby in third. Cameron Merriman, David Holloman, Nathan Davis, Cole Newhoffen, along with Shea Powell, Ricky McLeod, Daniel Zagers rounding out the top 10 quiet runs for the 14 of 30 through the field. Kevin Hanley finishes 11th with Jeffrey Stewart in 12th. Rusty Kruger 13th with Michael Sheridan in 14th. Jason Randolph rather with John Batista behind him. Kevin Klick finishes behind your points leader entering the evening. So that damage minimized by the 54. Andrew May, Michael Heilman, Dylan Schiebel among your final finishers. Your DNFs, Colton Hardy, Hayden Cardwell, Logan Rumsey did not finish in this one. What a night for Alex Bergeron here, Billy, and what a drive for him to cut through this field.
Yeah, that was very, very impressive out of Bergeron. So just again, it's one of those where with these tracks like this, you have to set up for the end of the race. And at the beginning, you could tell Bergeron was not going to be the quickest. He was locked down on the bottom, knew that's where it was going to go, and that's exactly what he needed to do. So it looks like we've got so far Bergeron and Elby into the interview room. We'll drag down your feature winner here, Mr. Alex Bergeron. Congratulations on the win at your playground, Williams Grove Speedway. Congrats, buddy.
Thank you, Billy.
First things first, Bergeron, you really committed to the bottom tonight. Looked at some points that it was a struggle early. You were as far back as about 10th or 12th in the middle of the corners. Talk us through that run through the field, because the car got better and better and better as you were nearly knocking down the wall on the inside. You were getting so close.
Yeah, I mean, it happened a couple of times. The car got too much grooved on the bottom, seems like, and I think I was just aiming too much for the bottom, and my left front cut the bottom a few times. I mean, definitely a tough place to run the bottom here, but yeah, like you said, the car got way better as we went through the run, and I just feel like guys were just trying to top in 1 and 2, and that's where I gained my time. To be honest, I feel like these guys were just banging the boards coming out of 2, and that's where I passed them all. So the only thing I know, we fell back a lot in the start. We got hit like 2 times. I don't think it was anything intentional, but that's why we were so far back at the start, and especially after the dash incident there. We started 8th and fell back to like 14 to 13, like you said, and got all the way up to 1st. So I think it's a great night.
Your second win, by the way, as well, feature race-wise on the season in 6 events for the series, your 4th total start. Of course, a lot of these drivers competing in the fall once again for the World Championship. Basically, as you mentioned, with drivers knocking it down, kind of what was the plan? What was kind of just how you were trying to approach things to make sure, okay, I don't hit LB as he's diving off the corner in 4. Okay, I don't hit Edens as he's defending hard on the bottom side. Where's that patience lie in when it comes to all that?
Oh, it goes with as a fair play. To be honest, I mean you don't want to hit anybody, and you don't want them to hit you. I know me and LB there, we got together a little bit, but that was a lot of racing deal there. I mean, it's just we're racing hard for the position, and he knew I was there, I knew he was there, and we're just side by side, and no really intention of wrecking anybody there. And then LB actually got by me after he was running the middle or something. I knew he was there, but then I got the run down the bottom in 1 and 2, and I really hit the bottom really good, and I just fly by Edens there in 1 and 2, and that's what pushed me in front of him. So after that, it was just a good racing overall.
Second half of the season starts November the 4th. Lima Land, the first race, then Outdoor, Kokomo, Knoxville, Fairbury, the dirt track at Charlotte. How pumped are you feeling about that second half stretch?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, definitely don't know if we're going to be there for all the races. Definitely have a big schedule on the way here, and it's just we're just here for the fun, and it's a great series. And Elbows Up Sim Sport, and their racing tour. They have a nice league and a nice place to race at, nice rules, and they actually follow the rules and give the penalties when it's needed. So that's why I'm here, and this is so fun to race. And the tracks are awesome. Tonight the track was incredible. When we went from a reset to a warm up, and then just the race, went from basically like a real life race. We worked the track in pretty good, and it made for a good show, I'm sure, for their fans as well, and you guys on the broadcast booth. And but the rest of the season, I mean, we're just gonna be there to test for a world championship and see what our car got.
Anyone else? Anyone rather you want to thank before we let you go?
Definitely Team ABR Sports as usual. Jason, Rebecca, all of our partners at Team ABR Sports, CSI Shocks, Logic Cat, BK Designs, Smart Ring Farm Equipments, everybody else that supports the team. You guys for doing an awesome job in the broadcast booth again tonight, and for having me here, and their racing tour, my dad for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
Congratulations on your second feature win of the season.
Thank you, Justin.
Alex Bergeron takes the checker flag tonight by 0.4 of a second. What a run for him. I believe we have James Eden standing by. I believe he's with you, Billy. He gets to say hello to you.
Yeah, me and James got to talk quite a bit this season so far, but led the majority of the race. Definitely probably didn't need to see those last few yellows, but tell us how the race went. How did you feel about the track reset compared to the last few weeks?
It was good. The track still, ended up pretty slick there at the end, so it was probably a good thing we got that. But yeah, it's just one of those deals leading. You never, you kind of sit and duck, and Alex got the bottom working, and that was that.
Well, it's got to make you feel pretty good though, especially going into the World Championship. I think the last couple seasons you were definitely one of the ones, if you could eliminate a couple of the rough races that you had that really could get to Alex. Do these league races like this really help with that? At least either the mental game that you can beat them, or does that help you going into the pro season coming up?
Yeah, every good run helps. You definitely gotta keep your confidence up and help carry momentum. It sucks. Getting passed by him with 2 to go. That definitely hurts a little bit. But Williams Grove is by far, where he probably excels the best out of anyone. He's really good down there around the inside wall. So, but still running second to him and leading all those laps and staying with him even after he got by us was still pretty good. So.
Yeah, that's I think the biggest thing. Definitely a solid run for you this evening. Fast in the heat race, fast in the dash. Who else you got to thank on that thing?
Yeah, gotta thank all the Speed Lab guys, Bell Helmets, K1 Race Gear, Race Electronics, HMS Motorsport, South Bay Partners, and Down Under Graphics.
Well, good deal, James. We will be seeing you hopefully in the next few weeks with the DRT, and if for some reason we don't talk to you before then, good luck into the pro season, man.
Thanks, man.
James Eden's there, your second place finisher. Mr. Adam Elby, rounding out your podium. Another good run for you tonight, Adam.
Yeah, the goal every night is to move forward and start in second. There's only one more spot to go, and unfortunately, we went back one spot, but in the field of cards we had tonight, it's nothing to hang your head about.
Well, yeah, this was probably one of the most pro style fields I think that we've seen so far. Just kind of looking at it, not too many non-pro guys in the top in the feature this evening. So pretty good warm up for the pro series coming up, which you guys are locked into. But just what did I know? Me and you have talked back and forth a little bit about track resets, things like that. What did you think of the race this evening?
Like I was just talking to Zane a little bit ago. It seemed like it was pretty good. Up in the front, it seemed like it was a little bit of follow the leader, but you're also just kind of waiting for stuff to come in. Everybody's afraid to try something new, and it was kind of cool not knowing where to run really right off the bat. Merriman got by me, and I had to figure out what worked for me and how to get back by him, and we were able to do that, which was pretty fun. And but like I told Zane, it's top 5, top 4, no matter what the track is. It's pretty much going to be follow the leader for the most part. But we were able to, kind of hang on and be there for the, be in contention for the, the top step and stuff like that. But I definitely liked the track. It was something different, better, a little bit different than our normal super dry slick tracks, where it was kind of nice. Once we got to the end, it was like, wow, I really don't miss this that much right now. And I'm all for slick tracks, but it was nice to have something a little bit different where we could, where it's not so much who knows the track better, but who knows, who can adapt quicker.
Well, and that's where the real life experience does come into play. I know you've ran some midget stuff out on the West Coast, some mini micro sprint stuff as well. So you're used to going out on a racetrack that's going to be changing, and we've talked about this before in the features sometimes where the track is already so locked down on the bottom that you get there, poke at half throttle, and don't ever move. So with the way tonight went, where you could rail the top for the first little bit, like you said, Merriman was making it work up there, and then it just kind of started to fall away off of 2 and 4. They're coming 2 or 3 laps to go. You made a move off of 4 that got you next to Bergeron. Did you think at that point you might be able to make something work with momentum and get by both of them?
Yeah, before that last caution there, I definitely thought, man, we got a shot to win this. Got a real good run off of 4 on that line. They weren't quite running it, so I was pretty pumped to be able to, Bergeron got by, I held him off for a little bit, then, as I'm going to drive back by them again, I think that's when the yellow came out. But, yeah, I was pretty pumped that, we had some good speed, and we're able to, just like you said, just like real life it's all about adapting and, trying to find what's new. And that's what a lot of these, people that don't run in real life or on these, when we get so used to running at dry, slick tracks where we already know what line is fastest, people forget that you got to adapt. So, it was a nice refresher that the track was fresh kind of starting off, and it definitely helped out. And, in my favor, being able to kind of try stuff and see what worked and what didn't.
Well, congrats on the podium, and hopefully we will see you back here next week at the next DRT race. And if we don't talk to you before then, good luck in the Pro Series coming up, man.
Yeah, thank you guys. Just thanks for putting this on. You guys all put a lot of work into this, and it's really cool to see this deal come together. Can't wait to see where it goes. I'm going to race it as much as I can. Got to thank my guys over at Swindell Speed Lab and, everybody who puts this deal on. The fans for watching. Without them, this wouldn't be near as much fun. And then I got to thank my dad and girlfriend for always supporting everything that I do.
Well, we appreciate you coming, Adam, and we will see you next time.
See you guys. Thanks.
That was your third place finisher, Adam Elby. So, Justin, your first night with DRT, and we really do appreciate you for stepping in in AJ's absence. Had a lot of fun with you, and heck of an announcer. If you guys, anybody out there that does this stuff, that deals with radio and broadcasting and things like that, Justin's got a hell of a voice for it. Does his research, does his homework, and really appreciate him for coming on out. We do appreciate it, man.
Thank you very much once again for the opportunity. And of course, this was a great race overall. When you think about it, a great feature, several different lines coming into play. The drivers felt happy. The track lines came into play with the track reset, which really helped. I think tonight was a great event overall, and it was talked about by a couple drivers. These types of races are crucial for drivers to prepare for the Pro Series and try and plot things out on, okay, what am I going to run for the Pro event? Because without races in series such as this, of course, there's going to be a lot of layaway, but you also can't really know what your car is going to do until you race in a competitive scene such as this, with not just your competitors for Pro nights on Monday evenings, but as well against the best who are not in the series, to see how you shake out and how some of the up-and-comers are doing. Great race overall. I can't wait to see how the second half of the season goes, though.
Well, we'll have to see if we can get you and AJ into the booth together. I think you two would be some magic together. But we really, like I said, do appreciate it. We're looking forward to the second half of the season, and we thank everybody for coming and watching. It was one of our biggest nights so far this season, and we really, like I said, do appreciate you guys all coming out and watching this and supporting us. We got some big things coming, and just looking forward to the next one.
Yes, real quick. Thank you, Justin, for coming out, and for everyone watching. A couple of things coming. Fake 500 announcement coming soon for those interested in that. And as well, I know I heard Billy when I was in here earlier eavesdropping. We are off next week. We're going to take a week off at the halfway point for a quick reset, make sure we're caught up, and then we will pick back up on November 4th at Lima Land as we make our trip out west to where we'll end up with Knoxville, and then we'll cut back east and into Charlotte.
Yeah, so we got a big second half of the season. I can't believe we're already halfway through. I know I look forward to Wednesday nights now quite a bit. This is one of the more fun things we get to do. Me and Zane have had a lot of fun with the Fake 500. Really looking forward to that announcement coming up. Got some cool stuff coming as well for that, and some few other events that we're working on as well. Maybe one around the Chili Bowl time. So just keep an eye out on the Elbows Up SimSport Facebook page and also on Twitter. Be sure to follow the pages if you haven't done that so far. That way you can keep up to date on everything. And like I said, we just really appreciate everybody for coming out. And we will see you here in a couple weeks when we go to Lima. So good little short track, and we will see you guys all next time.